For the last 100 years, society has been absolutely obsessed with the idea of the specialist. From the moment you enter the classroom, you are told to pick a major, choose a career path, and stay in your lane. You are warned that if you try to do too many things, you will become a master of none. But if you actually look at the people who built the modern world, almost none of them followed this advice. In fact, throughout history, the greatest breakthroughs came from people who flat out refused to specialize. Society demands that you pick one thing and do it forever. But today, we are going to look at why having too many interests is not a distraction, but rather the ultimate historical advantage. Let us rewind to the origin of the specialist. Before the Industrial Revolution, the concept of picking a single, hyper-narrow career path was largely foreign to the educated classes. The Renaissance celebrated the polymath, the individual whose knowledge spanned across multiple distinct fields. But when factories began to dominate the global economy, everything changed. The world no longer needed independent thinkers who could paint, engineer, and philosophize. It needed assembly line workers. It needed cogs in a machine. The modern school system was practically invented to serve this industrial machine. It was designed to categorize people, rank them by specific competencies, and funnel them into highly specialized roles where they would repeat the same tasks for 40 years. Specialization is highly efficient for running a factory, but it is a terrible formula for human innovation. When you only look at the world through the lens of one highly specific discipline, your brain becomes trapped in a silo. You only see the problems and solutions that your specific industry has agreed upon. But the most world-changing ideas never come from the center of a discipline. They come from the intersections. Consider Steve Jobs. When he was a young man, he dropped out of his required college courses and decided to drop in on a class about calligraphy. It had absolutely zero practical application for a career in technology. There was no conceivable way that learning about serif and sans serif typefaces was going to help him build circuit boards. But years later, when he was designing the first Macintosh computer, that random interest in calligraphy came rushing back. Because Jobs was not just a computer engineer, he was able to combine technology with the aesthetic beauty of typography. He created the first computer with beautiful, varied fonts. If he had stayed strictly in the lane of computer science, the personal computer might have remained a cold, purely utilitarian machine for another decade. He was what historians call a pattern weaver. A pattern weaver is someone who gathers completely unrelated threads of knowledge and weaves them together to create something entirely new. Specialists are usually too zoomed in on their own threads to see the whole tapestry. Take Leonardo da Vinci as another prime example. We remember him today mostly as a painter, the genius behind the Mona Lisa, but Leonardo did not see himself as just a painter. He was obsessively interested in anatomy, engineering, botany, and physics. He spent his days dissecting human corpses to understand how muscles layered over bones. He studied the flight of birds and the flow of water. It was precisely because he refused to specialize that his paintings revolutionized the art world. His obsessive study of human anatomy allowed him to paint figures with a level of realism that no purely trained artist of his day could possibly match. His understanding of optics and light physics gave him the ability to create the smoky, three-dimensional effect that made his portraits come alive. If Leonardo had just stayed in his lane and only studied traditional painting techniques, he would have been just another forgotten artist of the Renaissance. We see this pattern over and over again throughout history. Hedy Lamarr was one of the most famous Hollywood actresses of the 20th century, known as the most beautiful woman in the world. But acting was not her only interest. She had a deep, abiding fascination with inventing and engineering. During the Second World War, she teamed up with a composer named George Antheil. Together, they took the concept of a player piano roll, a musical mechanism, and applied it to radio communications. They invented a frequency-hopping signal that prevented enemies from jamming Allied torpedoes. Her invention, born from the intersection of Hollywood creativity, musical mechanics, and amateur engineering, laid the foundational technology for the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS systems we use every single day. A pure radio engineer of the era would never have thought to use a piano mechanism to solve a military communications problem. It required someone who existed outside the box. This is the superpower of the polymath. When you have multiple interests, your brain is constantly forced to translate concepts from one field into the language of another. This cognitive friction builds a totally unique mental framework. You start to see analogies and connections that are invisible to the specialist. In a world that is changing as fast as ours is today, being highly specialized is actually a massive risk. If you spend 20 years mastering one extremely specific piece of software or one narrow corporate function, what happens when artificial intelligence or a new technological paradigm makes that function obsolete overnight? The specialist is left stranded because their entire identity and skill set is tied to a single pillar. The pattern weaver, however, is deeply resilient. Because they have cultivated a diverse range of hobbies, interests, and skills, they can pivot, they can adapt, they can take the underlying principles they learned in one area and immediately apply them to a completely new landscape. They are not defined by a single job title, but by their ability to learn and synthesize information. So, if you are someone who constantly jumps from one hobby to the next, if you find yourself deep diving into history one month, learning coding the next, and then trying your hand at woodworking or philosophy, it is time to stop apologizing for it. You are not scatterbrained. You are not failing to commit. You are building an expansive, robust library of mental models. You are gathering the threads that you will eventually weave together into something that no specialist could ever replicate. The modern world was not built by people who stayed in their lanes. It was built by the restless, the curious, and the deeply passionate individuals who refuse to let society put them in a box. Embrace your wide range of interests. Cultivate your curiosity and realize that your greatest advantage in life is the fact that you simply refuse to pick just one path. If this perspective resonates with you and you want to keep exploring the ideas that break the mold of conventional thinking, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Keep learning, keep weaving those patterns, and I will see you in the next video.